Good morning. It's a beautiful Monday morning. You're back once again with a fresh edition of Breakfast News. I'm Preeti and with me is Shubhendu. In the next 1 hour, we'll get you an account of everything that's been making it to the headlines. We'll get you national headlines, international updates, updates from the world of sports, from the world of business. And added to that, we'll also get you a health tip and a web review. Shubhendu, it's the start of the week. It's a beautiful Monday morning today. Let's start this day, kickstart this week with this beautiful thought which says, what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract, and what you imagine, you create. So it is all positivity, all the optimism is in the thought process, is in the mind, which eventually gets along with you through the day and through your all endeavors as well.
Right there. Thanks, Preeti, for that wonderful thought of the day. Welcome to Breakfast News. The big story now that the COVID vaccination drive date is out. Important meeting, Preeti, is scheduled today between Prime Minister and the administrators of the states and union territories. We'll track that. Also update on the bird flu situation. Meanwhile, we'll also tell you about Preeti, an all-women crew that flew from United States to India, 16,000 kilometers over the North Pole. More on that. Also updates from the Sydney Cricket Test. All that and more. First, the headlines.
Packed 1 hour. Stay with us for the next 1 hour.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with chief ministers today to discuss COVID-19 situation and preparations of vaccine rollout from this Saturday. Health Ministry discusses CoWIN software platform with state officials. Guidelines issued for CoWIN management.
India's war against COVID intensifies. Number of active cases continues its steady decline. Total number of infections with new Britain strain remains 90.
Bird flu concerns in 7 states of Kerala, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh. States, union territories requested to increase surveillance and public awareness.
US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi asks lawmakers to vote on a resolution calling on Vice President and the Cabinet to remove President Trump from office before moving to impeachment. 210 House members, nearly a majority of the House, have so far co-sponsored the impeachment measure.
BCCI takes up the matter of racial abuse against Indian players during Sydney Test match with Cricket Australia. Says action needs to be taken against offenders on day 5 of the Sydney Test. Updates.
On day 5 of the Sydney Test, Captain Ajinkya Rahane falls early, but Rishabh Pant's 50 stabilizes India's inning as India chases a target of 407 runs to win the Test match.
Bangladesh to be the country in focus for the 51st International Film Festival of India, Asia's oldest and India's biggest festival, IFFI to kickstart in Goa from January 16th.
All right, those are the top stories we're tracking this hour. First, we get you the details and we begin with the national headlines first.
Absolutely. Let's look at the stories related to COVID vaccination drive. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with chief ministers and lieutenant governors today before the rollout of the COVID vaccine on the 16th of this month. Meanwhile, systems have been put in place and feedback from the 2 dry runs have been discussed at a video conference by Health Ministry. They also discussed the CoWIN software and its operational use. 16th January will see the rollout of the largest vaccination drive in the world. The centre has been proactively carrying activities towards preparing for the nationwide rollout of COVID-19 vaccine in close coordination with states, union territories and all other stakeholders. Prime Minister Modi will connect and discuss the issue with chief ministers of all states. The Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare held a video conference with administrators from states and UTs on CoWIN software that forms the backbone of the last mile vaccine administration on Sunday. The meeting was chaired by Chairman of Empowered Group of Technology and Data Management to combat COVID-19, and member National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration. During the meeting, the feedback of the states and union territories on the CoWIN software and its operational use emanating from the dry runs was discussed in detail. The empowered group chairperson stressed upon the following points. This is an unprecedented scale of immunization. It will be the world's largest immunization exercise. Robust, dependable and agile technology shall form both the foundation and the backup for COVID-19 vaccination. Critical importance of capturing vaccination data in real time, which was non-negotiable. The posting of data on the portal may be online or offline in view of connectivity issues. The caution one needs to exercise to ensure that there are no proxies at all. The beneficiaries need to be uniquely and undeniably identified. States advised to urge the beneficiaries to seed their current mobile number with Aadhaar. This is for registration and consequent communication through SMS. There cannot be any proxies for Aadhaar authentication. Extremely important to clearly identify a person who's getting vaccinated and keep a digital record on those who get vaccinated and by whom, when, and by which vaccine. The data collection should meet the purpose of facilitating work, and that needs to be validated at the field levels. Meanwhile, the states are fine-tuning their strategies and preparations.
We have 5 regional large stores. Similarly, we have every storage facility in every district, that is 30 districts we have. Here in the state storage facility, we can store almost 45 lakh vials of vaccines. We are quite well prepared in Karnataka state to handle this vaccine program in Karnataka.
दिल्ली सरकार ने 89 हॉस्पिटल्स को चिन्हित किया है, जिसमें से 36 गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स हैं और 53 प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल्स हैं। तो हमने अभी जो फर्स्ट स्टार्ट किया है वो सारे हॉस्पिटल्स में कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि साइट्स बहुत कम थी। शुरू हमने तैयारी तो 1000 तक की हुई है, तो 89 साइट्स हैं, सारे के सारे हॉस्पिटल्स में हैं और 16 तारीख से इसको स्टार्ट किया जाएगा।
हमारे जो साइंटिस्ट हैं, मैं उनको धन्यवाद करूंगा। सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने ड्राई रन्स वगैरह भी पूरे कर लिए सारे स्टेट्स में, तो अब इसका फ़ायदा जो इंसानियत को मिलने वाला है, उसकी जितनी तारीफ़ करिए, जितनी उसके लिए धन्यवाद करिए, वो कम है।
The focused efforts of centre and state union territory governments on effective clinical management of the hospitalized cases have ensured sustained decline in India's fatality rate, which is 1.44%. Less than 300 new deaths are being recorded in the country for the past 16 days. India has one of the lowest deaths per million population at 109. India's present active caseload of 2,23,335 comprises 2.14% of India's total positive cases. Active cases per million population in India is amongst the lowest in the world. The number for India is 162, whereas countries like Brazil, Russia, Germany, Italy, UK and the US have much higher active caseload per million population. The recovery rate has also improved to 96.42%. With effective containment strategy, aggressive testing, standardized clinical management protocols based on holistic standard of care protocol across government and private hospitals, the number of new deaths have dipped. DD India.
All right, to get us more on that, our correspondent Arun Sharma is joining us on phone line. Arun, good morning to you. We've given a detailed report to our viewers on what all is to be expected, and also we tell our viewers that today the Prime Minister will interact with Chief Ministers and Lieutenant Governors of states and union territories. Spell out more details on that. Also added to that, we know that the rollout will take place on the 16th of January. Very quickly, put forth what all preparations, what all groundwork has been laid to ensure effective rollout of the vaccination program.
Well, let me tell you that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to interact today with the Chief Ministers and the LGs of various states and UTs. Importantly, we know this fact that even during the COVID pandemic time, we have seen that how Prime Minister Narendra Modi has interacted with the Chief Ministers of various states, whether on the issue of lockdowns or whether on the issues of unlock phases. All the decisions were taken by keeping these states on board. So this also shows that how the cooperative federalism has played an important role as far as fight against COVID-19 is concerned. So now when we talk about the last phase of this COVID-19, when the vaccination drive, or you can say that the world's largest vaccination drive that's going to begin from 16th of January, the important aspect is that it is important to note that what are the challenges as of now that were faced during the dry run. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is very much likely to discuss with the chief ministers of various states as to what are the challenges that were faced during the dry runs, number one. Number two, as far as technological aspect is concerned, we know this fact that CoWIN software is being developed, and as of now the database of the healthcare workers are being fed into the database of CoWIN software. So importantly, what are the technological glitches as far as these softwares are concerned? How can that be rectified? Number three is the logistical aspect, because we know this fact that cold storage logistics will be required in large quantity, and how to handle these COVID vaccines, because these are the made in India vaccines, and how can these vaccines be handled properly? There shouldn't be logistical issues. And last but not the least, Preeti, we know this fact that there are various states whereby the heavy caseload was witnessed,
Right.
and there are cases whereby less caseloads were witnessed. So primarily, discussion will also take place as to how can vaccine be provided in large number to the states whereby heavy caseloads were there. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to interact on various issues with the state chief ministers, because various other countries are also demanding, like Brazil has asked for providing of these COVID vaccines, and neighboring countries have also come forward. So it's the biggest or the world's largest vaccination drive that India is going to take place in India that is going to take place.
Right.
And in that context, this meeting is going to be very important.
Right. I don't know if you talk about the CoWIN platform, that's COVID Vaccine Intelligence Network, that is set to play a very crucial role in the administration and the monitoring of the vaccination drive. Tell us a little more about that, the manner in which centre and state are coordinating through this platform.
All right, Shubhendu. So CoWIN will play an important role as far as technological aspect is concerned, as far as this COVID vaccines are concerned. So number one, this CoWIN software will be having the database of all the people who are getting vaccinated, and what is the status of the vaccines as of now. Number two, center and states are trying to link it with the Aadhaar number, so there are no duplicates and proxies as far as the members are concerned. Third, this CoWIN software is not live as of now. So if in case you are thinking to download it from Play Store or iOS platform, it is not live. That means you can't download it right now because it is not ready to use product now. But the database of the healthcare workers are being fed into this software as of now, because we know this fact that they are close to 3 crore primarily frontline workers all in all.
Yes.
Will be vaccinated first. So the database by various authorities are being fed into the CoWIN software. And yes, last but not the least, this software will play an important role so that there are no duplicates and proxies. And this will be live very soon, so that you can register on this. And all those who are need to.
All right. Yes, Arun. Also, I would want you to also elaborate on where are we standing, as compared to other countries in the fight against COVID-19, given how, on one hand, we'll be rolling out the world's largest vaccination program on 16th. At the same time, in other countries of the world, we see the UK strain of the virus being active, and also, it is expected that it will be more severe than the previous spell of COVID. I would want you to, talk more about what is the road ahead, the journey, now that we have come to this point, that we are putting forth our 2 homemade indigenous vaccines. What next from here on? And, talk more about the mood, or for that matter, the expectations about the vaccine rollout from here on.
Sure, Preeti. We know this fact that as far as fight against COVID-19 is concerned, the recovery rate, has increased to more than 96%.
I began on the note, and eventually I lost track.
Important part is that, Preeti and Shubhendu, that as far as recoveries are concerned, they are gradually increasing. The number of positive cases are gradually deteriorating. The number of cases that we used to get on daily basis are now gradually deteriorating on daily basis. So it's a big win as far as the COVID-19 fight is concerned. But you rightly mentioned about the COVID mutant virus that was found in UK, and after that, the center has taken, all these steps so that how can these virus can be stopped. We know this fact that the flights from UK were also temporarily suspended, and now when the flights have been again restarted, 2 times RT-PCR tests are being done. One at the time of boarding the flight from UK, and another at a time of arriving at the airports in India. So yes, center and government primarily is leaving no stone unturned so that this virus, this virus can be combated at each and every level. But last but not the least, let me tell you that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when meeting with the chief ministers of various states, will of course very much likely to discuss all these aspects as well, because one important aspect that remains very much critical is about rumors. Because just ahead of the COVID vaccine or vaccination drive, primarily there are rumors, and the certain section in our society, they're trying to spread rumors. So how can these rumors can be stopped? That also is very much likely to be discussed during this meeting with the chief ministers.
Right, Arun, there. Thanks very much for getting us those detailed updates about the upcoming meeting of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the administrators of the state. Focus, of course, is the vaccination rollout drive from 16th of January.
Let's get to other news now. In Uttarakhand, the health department will be tomorrow conducting the final dry run for COVID-19 vaccination. Now, the state had already conducted 2 mock drills earlier on 2nd and the 8th of this month. Meanwhile, all the preparations have been done for the launch of the nationwide vaccination drive from 16 January. Around 140 ambulances have been arranged to be sent to different districts for vaccination. The ambulances can also be used to pick and drop beneficiaries in emergency cases.
Moving on to some updates on bird flu. With the rapidly increasing cases of avian influenza or bird flu across the country, the centre has released an advisory for affected states to contain the spread of the disease, along with the brewing misconceptions. The measures include focus on cleanliness, proper sanitization, awareness on the disease. So far, the disease has been confirmed from 7 states. Those are Kerala, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Gujarat and UP.
While India is still battling the COVID-19 pandemic, the H5 or avian influenza has also started spreading across many parts of the country. 7 states have so far reported positive samples of bird flu, whereas many states are in the process of testing the samples. Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Kerala and UP have confirmed the presence of avian flu. In the wake of the disease, Delhi has also ordered the closure of its National Zoological Park along with the Ghazipur wholesale market that will remain shut for 10 days. On the other hand, Uttar Pradesh has been put on alert with the recent positive cases of bird flu found in the Kanpur Zoo that will now remain closed for next 15 days.
हमारी सरकार ने, हमारे विभाग ने 24 नवंबर को ही एक आदेश जारी कर दिया था पूरे प्रदेश के सारे जू में, सारे डिवीज़न को, कि जिस तरीके से माइग्रेटरी बर्ड के थ्रू ये फैलने की संभावना बनी रहती है, इसके लिए पूरी तरीके से सबको सतर्क कर दिया गया है। पशुपालन डिपार्टमेंट भी इसमें काम कर रहा है। जिला अधिकारी के नेतृत्व में कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी भी बनी है पूरी तरीके से रोकथाम के लिए। और जैसे अभी कानपुर में कुछ इस तरह की संभावना बनी, तो हमने कानपुर को पूरी तरीके से बंद कर दिया है और पूरी तरीके से सैनिटाइजेशन उसका हो रहा है।
कानपुर जू में 10 जंगली मुर्गे की डेथ हुई थी 6, 7, 8 की तिथियों में, जिनके सैंपल, जिनकी बॉडी भोपाल जो IVR जो वेटनरी का सेंटर है वहाँ भेजा गया था। कल रात को उनकी रिपोर्ट आई है, 2 उसमें से पॉजिटिव निकले हैं। रात में ही जू को बंद किया गया है और सैनिटाइजेशन के बाद उसको अगर आगे खोलने की आवश्यकता होगी तो हम खोल भी देंगे।
Many states have been put on alert and an advisory has been issued to respective departments by the centre. The central teams formed for monitoring the situation in Kerala, Haryana and Himachal Pradesh are visiting the affected sites, while control and containment have been completed in both the affected districts of Kerala. The centre is also working towards increasing its awareness among poultry farmers to prevent the spread of the disease in humans. Use of PPE kits have been instructed during the culling of birds.
No, absolutely there is no case of bird flu in Karnataka.
Amid growing tensions with daily developments and increasing positive samples of H5, the flu has severely affected the poultry market in the country. While the sale of chicken and eggs have been adversely impacted, the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying has taken the initiative to bust few myths about the bird flu. Experts have stressed that when cooked properly, poultry products are safe to consume. So far, no human has been tested positive for avian influenza or bird flu. DD India.
And with avian influenza now affecting 7 states, there is a dire need for people to understand all precautionary measures and also reject all the myths associated with it. We get to the details in this report.
The Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying has issued an advisory to the avian influenza affected states regarding further spread of disease. Centre has requested state animal husbandry departments to ensure effective communication and coordination with health authorities for close vigilance of the disease status. While there has been no case reported yet of its transmission in humans in India, but precautionary measures are necessary.
Fortunately, though this virus can be transmitted to the human being, but fortunately in our country we have not seen any, there has not been any single case of human infection or human to human infection. So this is good thing. That's why we should not be more panic.
Even poultry farms need to take precautions like wearing masks and protective gear while handling poultry.
Persons who are visiting the market for this trade of the poultry trade, they have to be careful. If you are visiting a market in the live poultry market like Murga market like that, so you have to wear the gloves, you have to wear the face mask, you have to observe the biosecurity measures.
Experts say that one must avoid consuming uncooked or partially cooked chicken or eggs and cook it nicely at high temperatures before consuming.
We should not stop eating chicken or egg, but the thing is, required thing is that we have to properly cook the chicken and we have to properly boil the egg. Because this virus at 70-degree temperature, this virus gets killed.
Bird flu amongst humans is rare, but it is essential to avoid contact with infected poultry as well as not venture near bird carcasses and immediately report any death to the authorities.
So don't be scared. You have to report to the higher authorities. Higher authority means a nearby veterinary hospital, nearby medical doctors, nearby forest officials. So you report them. But please don't touch that crow. Please don't touch that bird because you don't have to dispose it. The disposal has to be done by the proper concerned officers of the Department of Animal Husbandry.
Sporadic cases of bird flu have been reported at periodic intervals from different parts of the country since 2006. But it is essential not to fall prey to any myths and as well as take all necessary precautions. Meghna Dev's report, DD India.
And our colleague Meghna is joining us with more updates on the bird flu situation. Meghna, just fill us in with the latest on the management of the bird flu situation and what updates do we have as far as the source of this flu is concerned?
Absolutely, Shubhendu. When we talk about the management, the extremely important thing that the government is working on currently is definitely the management, because we know that central observer teams have been sent to some states to actually take stock of the situation and to also expedite some preventive and containment measures in the places which are the epicenters or the nearby epicenters of bird flu, avian influenza. I would like to tell you, putting first things first, that avian influenza basically is a type A influenza virus and the pathogenicity is very, very high. So the reason that we are seeing its very quick spread in in other states as well, when it started with a few states and it's now there in 7 states. So this is one of the reasons, because of its high pathogenicity, it spreads very easily and it's very fatal for the birds and avians. So what also important is the surveillance part, biosecurity measures, disinfection procedures. Also when we spoke to a number of experts, there are several myths attached to the avian influenza. People have stopped buying or eating chicken and eggs, but experts say that eating chicken or eggs will not harm you if you cook it properly, because the virus, it is said that the virus dies, the virus is killed when cooked at high temperature. Around 70 degrees Celsius the virus gets killed. So if you eat properly cooked or properly boiled eggs, properly cooked chicken, it's not going to harm you, and there has been no example or no case of its transmission into humans or human to human transmission. The only cases that those were reported were in 1997 in Hong Kong in a live bird market. So around 1997. So in India no case has been reported yet, but obviously preventive measures are important, not only for the people but also for the people who are working in the poultry market. The workers have to wear masks, have to wear PPE kits, and have to keep sanitizing, keep disinfecting. They need to use lime around the areas where the home system of these birds are made. So definitely it is very essential to actually carry out all preventive measures. The chief wildlife wardens have been put on alert. The veterinary, the nearby veterinary, the local veterinary doctors have been put on alert in the areas where the bird flu cases have been found. Also people have been asked to report any kind of dead bird that they find, and report any unusual mortality in birds that they find around. Also, when I spoke to some of the experts, they were of the thought that even if you find a crow or any bird dead in your balcony, do not touch it but report it to the nearby authorities so that they can come collect it. Also the sampling is very important, so go it for sampling and then actually dispose it off properly, because disposal is very important. Slack line, gunny bags and all these things are used to dispose of. The disposal site also cannot be anywhere just like that. It has to be a demarcated area.
All
it
right,
has got
Meghna,
to be nowhere between any water body or habitat. So the rapid...
Yes. Now these are the SOPs which have been highlighted and which have been enforced by the administration. Added to that, we've also been showing reports wherein myths are being we are aiming to clear the myths of the people on bird flu. But at the same time, even as we speak, we tell our viewers that no case of transmission of this disease has been found in the humans as yet. I would want you to talk more about, you must have interacted with the authorities, with the medical fraternity. How are they gauging the severity of this bird flu, of this influenza, given the fact that till now no case, no transmission case has been found towards the humans? What is the severity of this virus?
Yes, absolutely, Preeti. The health authorities. Yes, absolutely, Preeti. The health authorities are of the thought that the transmission into human is very, very rare. India has been reporting cases of avian influenza since 2006, and it is a periodic thing because we know that avian influenza comes from migratory birds. So the birds which, the migratory birds which come in the country from September to the period of March, they bring this avian influenza with them, and they also spread avian influenza through their droppings while they come. So what important is when transmission into humans is very rare, but still we have to take precautionary measures, and because we know that the virus has immense tendency to mutate as well. So there can be any possibility of it spreading into humans, but which is very, very rare. And from 2006, since avian influenza has been reported into India, there has been no case of its transmission into humans, or as I said, human to human transmission has also not been reported. But one must not come in contact with the carcasses that are there, the bird carcasses, avian carcasses that they see around. Rather report it, do not touch it, or do not venture out or fall in for any kind of misadventure. Because for example, we have our institute in Bhopal, that is the National Institute for High Security Animal Diseases, and we have other labs in the country, because sampling is extremely important so that we know what strain of avian influenza it is. It is the type A virus, but obviously sampling is extremely important to actually understand the pathogenicity. And and also what important is that there are clinical, virological, serological surveillances that are very essential to be done in such cases. Not only when there is an outbreak of bird flu, but otherwise also the animal husbandry department and the departments generally keep on conducting some surveys and tests to keep a check, especially during the winter season, to keep a check on what is the status of bird flu, because migratory birds come to the country every year. So definitely there has to be a vigilance on on the spread of bird flu, if in case the bird flu has spread anywhere. Also zoos, national parks, bird sanctuaries and all of these places have been kept on alert, and especially poultry movement has been banned. So it is a kind of a lockdown for some poultry markets and some poultry movements across borders of affected states, so that the
all right, measures being taken, as also it is always mandatory to follow the SOPs or the protocols during the spread of any virus. Here also, the administration has laid out clear instructions to how to go about when you spot a dead bird or a carcass. Thank you so much, Meghna, for joining us with those inputs. So here also, precautions and awareness.
Absolutely.
These are the two important words here, in dealing out and facing
and don't
this
panic.
virus.
I mean, cook the eggs and meats properly if you're consuming them. Let's move on to our next story now. Union Home Minister Amit Shah will launch the Single Window Clearance System, an online platform to obtain clearances for smooth operationalizations of coal mines. The Single Window Clearance System will be launched at 11 today via video conferencing in presence of Union Minister of Coal Prahlad Joshi. And Home Minister Amit Shah will be launching the Single Window Clearing System. It will be an online platform to obtain clearances for smooth operationalization of coal mines, Prahlad Joshi tweeted earlier.
And with 4 women pilots, Air India's longest direct route flight landed at Kempegowda International Airport in Bengaluru from San Francisco, flying over the North Pole and covering a distance of about 16,000 kilometers. An all-women cockpit crew went on to make history in Indian aviation by operating the inaugural San Francisco-Bengaluru flight on Sunday. And expressing happiness and pride on landing of Air India's longest direct route flight, Captain Zoya Agarwal said that the flight has created a milestone in the aviation history of the country.
Today is the day we create world history by not only flying the route over the North Pole, by having all women pilots who successfully did it, and it is also amongst one of the world's longest flights. So we are extremely happy and proud to be part of it, and we are extremely thrilled that our government, our airline has instilled this trust in us, and we all did it together as a team.
And the historic all-women cockpit crew polar flight from San Francisco to Bengaluru makes Vande Bharat mission even more special. The mission has so far facilitated international travel of more than 46.5 lakh people, and also it is aimed at continuing to reach out to more with 24 air bubbles. This was also said by Union Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Puri, and he expressed this thought on Twitter.
Let's now talk about IFFI, the 51st edition of Asia's oldest, India's biggest film festival. The International Film Festival of India, or IFFI, begins in Goa from 16th of January to 24th. It will be the first ever hybrid film festival with some events on the OTT platforms. The key highlights will also include, like every year, retrospective films, master classes by industry veterans, including Shekhar Kapoor, Q&A sessions and film appreciation sessions. Our colleague Jyotika reports.
The 51st International Film Festival of India is set to kick-start in Goa in a few days. IFFI couldn't be organised in 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic, and even this year IFFI will be held in a hybrid mode with both virtual and physical experience. Film industry is very much excited for the 2021 edition of IFFI. Cinestar Anil Kapoor tweeted, "It's that time of year again. So proud of IFFI Goa. Flying the flag for cinema globally, always something to look forward to. All the best, Team IFFI." Anupam Kher also tweeted that he is looking forward to the IFFI, which he said is leading the way in Asia and the world. Actress Dia Mirza also conveyed her good wishes to 51st IFFI in Goa. She tweeted, wishing International Film Festival of India, Goa, all the very best for its 51st edition. The biggest film festival of India is all set to commence on the 16th to 24th January 2021. IFFI has announced a lineup of programs that will be showcased on the OTT platform during the festival. This year, IFFI will organize a few of its events on the OTT platform for its audience. The film festival will open on January 16th with the Indian premiere of the movie Another Round by Thomas Winterberg. A total of 224 films from across the globe will be screened during the festival, which includes 23 feature films and 24 non-feature films. The festival will close on January 24th with the India premiere of the historical drama Wife of a Spy by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. Jyotika Grover's report.
And film fraternity is very excited for the 51st edition of International Film Festival of India. Director and producer Subhash Ghai extended best wishes to the 51st IFFI. Expressing happiness, also on your screens we have the wishes coming in from Subhash Ghai. Actress Shilpa Shetty Kundra also tweeted that it is a proud moment for everyone. IFFI is one of the best and most recognized film festivals of the world.
And the country in focus for the 51st International Film Festival of India this year is Bangladesh. The country in focus is a special segment that recognizes the cinematic excellence and contributions of the country. This section at the 51st IFFI will showcase 4 films including Jibon Duli, Meghan Malar, Under Construction and Sincerely Yours, Dhaka.
All right, all the updates, national updates in fact, we now turn focus to the international updates in our segment Across the Globe. The House this week will take up a resolution to impeach President Donald Trump for the second time in less than 2 years over his actions encouraging a mob that stormed the Capitol. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told lawmakers late on Sunday that they would first vote on a resolution this week calling on Vice President Mike Pence and the cabinet to remove President Donald Trump from office before moving to impeachment. The House is set to vote on a resolution urging Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The 25th Amendment allows Pence and the cabinet to remove the president if he is unable to discharge his official duties. Nancy Pelosi said in a letter that the House will proceed with bringing impeachment legislation to the floor. Through late Sunday, 210 House members have co-sponsored the impeachment measure, which is nearly a majority of the House.
In United States, off-duty police officers line Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C. to honor Capitol Hill officer Brian Sicknick, who died from injuries sustained from the siege on the Capitol by President Donald Trump supporters. As officers stood at attention, Sicknick's remains were transferred from the medical examiner's office to a funeral home. Behind the officers, the flag at the Capitol building was at half-staff, as ordered by the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The White House flag was also lowered to half-staff on Sunday, 5 days after his death. Sicknick's death is being investigated jointly by the FBI and Washington, D.C. Police Department. Capitol Police confirmed late on Thursday evening that Sicknick had died after suffering injuries while on duty at the U.S. Capitol during the riot. After being injured by protesters, the officer returned to his office where he collapsed. He died at a hospital.
In the United States of America, days after the deadly violence at the U.S. Capitol, security at the Queen Theatre in Wilmington, Delaware, where U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has been holding meetings and making statements, appeared to be bulked up yesterday as Washington prepares for Biden's inauguration this month. U.S. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said on Sunday that the threat from violent extremist groups remains high after the deadly storming of the U.S. Capitol last week by supporters of President Trump. In a statement, he also added that threat of violent extremist groups remains high and the next few weeks are critical in the democratic process with the upcoming inauguration at the U.S. Capitol. Last week, President Donald Trump's spokeswoman said that the entire White House condemns the violence at Capitol, adding those who broke the law should be prosecuted.
Some news from Japan. A historic heavy snowfall hit Japan's northern prefectures, stranding hundreds of cars on Sunday. More than 1,000 vehicles were stuck at the peak on motorway running through the country's northern prefectures, including Niigata, Toyama, Ishikawa, Fukui, Shiga. Japan's self-defense forces are deployed to relieve of the drivers. Heavy snowfall are endemic in the northern parts of the country, especially those prefectures facing the Sea of Japan. But most of the observation points in these prefectures are seeing more than twice the amount of snowfall as compared to its average. And Toyama city saw a new record of 88 centimeters of snowfall in just 48 hours.
Engine from the Indonesian passenger plane that crashed into the sea shortly after taking off from the capital Jakarta was recovered on Sunday. The Boeing 737-500 with 62 passengers and crew on board was headed on a domestic flight to Pontianak in West Kalimantan on Saturday before it disappeared from radar screens 4 minutes after takeoff. The wreckage of the turbine engine of Sriwijaya Air Flight, that is SJ-182, was taken to port of Jakarta and inspected by the officials. The two black box flight recorders from Boeing 737-500 have also been located but have yet to be recovered from the waters. A large-scale search operation is underway off the north coast of Jakarta, retrieving human body parts and debris. The flight had 50 passengers, including 10 children and 12 crew members. As the engine of the plane got recovered, Indonesian authorities on Sunday located the black boxes of Sriwijaya Air Jet. In a video posted by Indonesian Navy, a diver is seen pointing out the pieces of debris from the plane on the seabed of the Java Sea. Indonesia National Transport Safety Committee chief says the locations of flight SJ-182's two black boxes has also been identified. Meanwhile, families of the crew members on board are still hoping for a miracle as body parts and pieces of the plane were being retrieved. Boeing 737-500 with 62 other passengers and crew on board was headed on a domestic flight before it disappeared from radar screens. Officials say that efforts will be limited to sonar scans by boats. The accident marked the country's third major airline crash in just over 6 years.
Nationalist politician Sadr Japarov won a landslide victory on Sunday in Kyrgyzstan's snap presidential elections that was triggered by the collapse of the previous government. Japarov won almost 80% of the vote in the Central Asian nation that is closely allied with Russia, as showed in the preliminary results cited by Kyrgyzstan's Central Election Commission, meaning that there will be no runoffs. More than 80% of voters have also supported a proposal to reform the constitution to give president greater powers at the parliament's expense. The planned reform, if successful, would make Kyrgyzstan's political system similar to that of its fellow ex-Soviet and mostly ethnically Turkic neighbors with fewer political freedoms but also less unrest. Polls for the presidential place were held on the same day as voters cast their ballot as Kazakhstan held the nationwide parliamentary elections.
And now a quick update on COVID-19 pandemic from across the world. As of now, more than 9 crore 6 lakh COVID-19 cases have been reported worldwide, with over 19 lakh 42,000 deaths. Over 6 crore 47 lakh people have recovered from the virus. The United States continues to remain the worst hit country by the pandemic so far and has reported over 2 crore 29 lakh cases of the virus, with death toll surging past 3 lakh 83,000. Brazil follows US in terms of death toll with 2 lakh 3,000 deaths.
And Britain has now given 2 million people a COVID-19 vaccination, as announced by the Health Secretary Matt Hancock on Sunday. The statement comes ahead of a ramp-up in the rollout of the shots on Monday. Hancock said over the last week, the government has vaccinated more people than in the entirety of December. Hancock said around 200,000 were currently being vaccinated every day, putting Britain on course to meeting the target and offering an opportunity to start easing restrictions in the spring. With the highly transmissible new variant of the virus surging across Britain, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has imposed a third national lockdown in England to try to stem the pandemic before the most vulnerable are immunized. Meanwhile, 7 mass vaccination centres are about to open in England from Monday, supplementing almost 1,000 doctors, surgeries and hospitals offering shots against COVID-19. Healthcare workers said they were feeling hopeful that the centres would help the country, which is grappling with a surge of cases, move forward, but warned that more mass vaccination sites would be needed.
In Spain, rescue teams are to deliver COVID-19 vaccines and food to areas cut off by Storm Filomena by air. A team from Madrid Emergency Health Service was the first to take to the skies yesterday. The Spanish government will also be sending supplies in convoys by road after the heaviest snowfall was witnessed in decades. 4 people have been killed, over 400 roads have been affected. Hundreds of tourists are stranded at Madrid's Barajas airport. Forecasters have warned of dangerous conditions in the coming days, with temperatures expected to fall up to -10 degrees Celsius next week. Storm Filomena moved north from the Gulf of Cadiz, causing the biggest snowfall in decades in Madrid. While some extemporaneous skiers appeared in the streets of the city, its bus services have also been suspended, with a special military unit deployed, mainly to help cab drivers. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has urged residents to avoid journeys and follow the instructions of emergency services.
Let's now move on to our next segment, BizBus. The Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, in partnership with the Confederation of Indian Industry and other association, is organizing the Startup India International Summit, Prarambh, from 15 to 16 January 2021 over a virtual platform. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has urged youths of the country to be a part of it. He tweeted, and I quote, with most events being held virtually, Prime Minister says it has given a great opportunity to youngsters to be part of many interesting domestic and global forums. One such opportunity is coming up in the form of Prarambh on 15th-16 January. I urge our youth to be a part of it.
Time now to shift focus to the world of sports now in our segment, Sports Track. India's hopes of saving the ongoing third test match against Australia rely on the shoulders of middle order as the match heads towards an exciting finish. Rishabh Pant has already registered a half-century and Pujara is also edging towards his 50. The fifth started off with Nathan Lyon registering the wicket of Ajinkya Rahane. Till the last reports came in, India were at 250 for the loss of 4 wickets. The series is currently levelled at 1 each.
And the ICC has condemned the incidents of racial abuse against Indian players at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Cricket Australia has apologised for the incidents, promised the strictest action against those responsible. A parallel investigation by cricket officials and Sydney Police is underway.
On the 4th day of the third test between Australia and India at the Sydney Cricket Ground, play was halted for a few minutes after the Indian players complained of racial abuse from the crowd. The play was stopped for more than 10 minutes on Sunday morning as Indian player Mohammad Siraj complained to the on-field umpires. After Siraj pointed to a section of the SCG crowd from where the abusers were being hurled, security officials acted quickly and at least 6 people were evicted from the stadium. In a statement, the International Cricket Council said that it strongly condemned the reported incidents of racism during the ongoing third test between Australia and India at the Sydney Cricket Ground and have offered Cricket Australia all necessary support in investigating the incidents. Following the incident, Cricket Australia released a second official statement condemning the entire incident. Cricket Australia tweeted, "We have launched an investigation in parallel with NSW Police following a crowd incident at the SCG today. The investigation on the incident is undertaken by the Australian Cricket Committee along with the New South Wales Police." The report was also issued on Saturday when the BCCI officially lodged a complaint with the ICC. As series hosts, we unreservedly apologise to our friends in the Indian cricket team and assure them we will prosecute the matter to its fullest extent, said Sean Carroll, Cricket Australia's head of integrity and security. Indian spinner R. Ashwin has reacted sharply on the racial remarks and demanded stern action against the culprits.
They have been quite nasty, they have been hurling abuses as well. But this is a time where they've actually gone one step higher and used racial abuses. And like we already mentioned, there was an official complaint that we lodged yesterday, and the umpires also mentioned that we must bring it to their notice as it happens on the field. And then they'll be able to take action. And it is definitely not acceptable in this day and age where we've come through, we've seen a lot, right? We've evolved as a society, and sometimes I think this roots back to the upbringing and the way one sees. So this must be definitely dealt with iron fist, and we must make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Cricketer Virat Kohli has also expressed sorrow over the racial abuse. Virat Kohli tweeted, "Racial abuse is absolutely unacceptable. Having gone through many incidents of really pathetic things said on the boundary lines, this is the absolute peak of rowdy behavior. It's sad to see this happen on the field. The incident needs to be looked at with absolute urgency and seriousness, and strict action against the offenders should set things straight for once." This is not the first time that Indian cricketers have faced such racial abuse in Australia. Kohli himself was at the receiving end of some of the choicest abuses during the 2011-12 Test series. Spinner Ashwin also faced similar abuse on tour to Australia. It's high time that stern action is taken in racial abuse cases, and a definition is made by the ICC code on it. DD India.
Meanwhile, BCCI Secretary Jay Shah expressed grave concern over the racist slurs hurled at Indian cricketers during the third test in Australia. He says that the matter has been taken up strongly with the concerned authority. The BCCI Secretary spoke to Cricket Australia Chairman Earl Eddings over the incidents, and both agreed that action needs to be taken against the offenders to send out a strong message that racism and discrimination do not have a place in the great sport and in any walk of the society.
And let's now move on to our next segment, Web News Review. Our colleague Nancy joins us now.
Alright, as we tell you that every day a colleague joins us with what all has been put forth in the web portals of social media. And for that, today our colleague Nancy is joining in. Nancy, we've given a broad outline to our viewers about what all has been making it to the headlines this morning. You let us know what had different headlines, in fact, have you picked up for us from social media. Nancy, if I'm audible to you, let us know what all headlines have you picked up for us from different web portals. And I think we've not been able to establish contact there with Nancy. We'll try getting back to her again to get that web review. Meanwhile, let's talk of health now.
Absolutely. Health segment coming up next. Now, seasonal influenza H1N1 is a respiratory illness caused by flu viruses. Let's understand how to protect ourselves from it.
The risk of seasonal influenza H1N1 goes high during the winter months. How to keep ourselves safe from this infection? Let's understand from Dr. Sunil M. Raheja. Dr. Raheja, what is seasonal influenza and what are the ways it can transmit from one person to another?
Seasonal influenza H1N1 is a viral disease which spreads through the air droplets from one person to another when you come in close contact with the person who is infected with this virus, like talking, hugging, kissing, laughing, singing, or we touch some surface like door handle, computer, pen, pencil, tabletop, which is already infected with the virus, and after that we touch our mouth, nose and eyes, and this virus can enter into our body and can infect us.
What are the symptoms that can appear in the person who is infected from H1N1 virus?
The signs and symptoms of seasonal influenza H1N1 is cough, cold, fever, sneezing, headache, body ache, myalgia, and in the serious form a person can have respiratory difficulty, blood in the sputum, or person can get disoriented.
What measures can be effective to prevent seasonal influenza?
To prevent yourself from the disease, please follow the COVID appropriate behavior like 2 गज की दूरी है बहुत ज़रूरी. Avoid shaking hands, rather say namaste. Wear your mask, it will protect you from COVID-19 as well as seasonal influenza H1N1 and other viral infections and pneumonias. Maintain cough etiquettes, have good hand hygiene, don't touch unnecessarily your mouth, nose and eyes because this virus can enter through these 3 places only. And if you have cough, cold, flu-like symptom, please stay home. Take the appropriate treatment by consulting a health facility, your nearby doctor or the government setup.
Taking precautionary measures like wearing a face mask, washing your hands frequently and following cough etiquettes. Along with that, if you pay attention to boosting or strengthening your immunity, you can be safe from seasonal influenza. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Alright, so that was the health tip of the day. Time now to get you the weather forecast. Under the influence of cyclonic circulation over equatorial Indian Ocean and adjoining central parts of South Bay of Bengal up to mid-tropospheric levels, fairly widespread to widespread rainfall with moderate thunderstorm and lightning is likely over Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Lakshadweep over the next 2 days. Isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall is likely over Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Mahe for the next few days. And also, when we talk of the conditions today, isolated heavy rainfall is expected over Kerala and Mahe. Also, due to prevalence of the north-northwesterly winds over most parts of northwest India, minimum temperatures have a falling tendency and are likely to fall gradually between 3 to 4 degrees Celsius, which may cause isolated cold wave conditions over Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi and also North Rajasthan. And strong surface winds are also likely over the plains of northwest India during the next 2 days. And now we take a look at temperatures across major cities of the country.
And as we move towards conclusion, here's a quote by author Helen Keller. She says, "Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement." Now, similarly, in Spain, amidst the intense snowstorm, Filomena, the Madrid resident, saw the lighter side of the situation as well, donning a dinosaur costume, the visuals of which we'll just show you, affectionately called Roxy. Dinosaur made snow angels walk through the city, blanketed in white, and those are the visuals that we're going to be leaving you with.
All right, as you watch these visuals, we also ask you all to be part of the Mask Up India initiative. Remember, the COVID vaccination program will roll out from 16th of January. That does not mean we need to sit back and relax. We still have to keep taking precautions. Wear a mask, wear it correctly and properly. With that, we end this bulletin here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Namaskar.